Hi, I'm David Waldman from Roha's Roastery in Lambertville, New Jersey. Today we're going to talk about pour-over coffee, and we're going to pull a Cona siphon or vacuum extraction using some of our Papua New Guinea, an uncharacteristically well-balanced medium-bodied Indonesian. Most Indonesians will tend to be full-bodied and not have much in the way of balance or top notes. This Kimmel Plantation A Papua is very well balanced. I'll let you know that for this size vessel, we're going to be using 57 grams of coffee, yielding 28 ounces of coffee. And basically we calculated this using the SCAA Gold Cup ratio of 0.055 grams per milliliter. And for this volume flask, which is 0.875 liters of water. So I realize I'm crossing back and forth between metric and standard, something we do easily in the industry. Don't get bogged down on it, or if you need to, get a little app for your iPhone that lets you convert easily back and forth. We have a handy variable temperature gooseneck that we're going to use to pour, and we're going to start by removing the upper chamber, parking it over here, filling the lower chamber with fresh, near boiling water, and then we'll use the denatured alcohol lamp that's provided to go the last mile and to do the work that's going to happen for the extraction. We fill this almost all the way, not totally full, and you want to be careful to wipe the glass so there's no drops of water on the outside that can cause cracking of the glass. Doing this obviously saves a lot of time. You don't want to use cold or room temperature water with denatured alcohol. It will take forever to heat up. Park this back here. Remove the lamp, which has denatured alcohol fuel, and light it. And this will give a beautiful blue flame. It has a stainless steel screen which acts as a diffuser to spread the heat. And I just want to confirm that the flame is going well, and it is. We're looking for signs of micro bubbles to indicate that the water is heating up. So place this back in the way, in the cork. I turn it clockwise just a hair to ensure that it's seated properly. And you'll see the water begin to migrate up into the upper chamber. And backflow is prevented by this precisely weight and size calibrated glass stopper. This is a Cona system made in the UK. The glass is hand blown in Germany and it's assembled in the UK. I think it's the finest vacuum extractor out there. There are a lot of copies. This one is the closest facsimile I've seen based on the 1841 French patent of the original coffee siphons. So you can see the water's coming up, little micro bubbles are forming, and we're going to wait until all of the water that can go up by virtue of the length of the glass stem of this top flask. When it goes into the upper chamber, then we're ready to put the coffee in. In the meantime, while we're waiting, I have pre-weighed our dose of coffee. I've also pre-purged the grinder to get those steps out of the way, so the same beans just pass through the grinder that I'm passing through now. Okay, so the water is beginning to come into the upper chamber, and while we wait for that to finish, let's just mention a couple other pour-over devices among our favorites. One is the Chemex in the Museum of Modern Art. It takes its own filter, that's a pour-over system. The other one is a Hario, a different version of the same idea where you pour over a filter through a cone into the carafe, and then you're good to go. Same idea where you're basically grinding coffee, putting it in a pre-wetted filter, using a gooseneck device to pour the water precisely in a particular manner to get a good bloom and a good extraction. And then within about 4 minutes, you've got a really good cup or several cups of coffee. Each one of them will give you different taste characteristics. One of them is not exclusively to be used instead of the other. If you're a real coffee aficionado, you'll probably have all of them, and you'll look for different aspects of different coffees coming from the different brew devices. So now the water is ready for our coffee. We're going to carefully put our dosage into the top. Make note of the time. We're going to give it about 2 to 3 minutes of exposure. I'm going to gently stir it just to ensure that all of the coffee is donating to the water, giving it its solubles and extracting. So I want to be sure that everything gets wet and has contact with the water. And I'm stirring it pretty gently. If you over stir it, you're at risk for what's called a vapor lock. A vapor lock will be when basically you turn the heat off like we're going to do in a minute or so and nothing happens. It's because you've got a standstill. You've created a static situation where there's no temperature differential, thus no pressure differential between the top and the bottom. And you're going to get some silt, or what we call fines, F-I-N-E-S, the fine powder. That's a natural byproduct of almost any grind or burr configuration. And just don't drink the last ounce of coffee, just sacrifice it to the pot. It's not going to be very tasty. We can see a crust forming here from the blooming and the off-gassing. That's a good thing. But I want to ensure that we're getting everything we can out of this cup by just further stirring the grinds into the water so we get a good extraction. Whereas the temperatures in the pour-overs are like a sine wave. The water, freshly introduced water from a variable temperature pot like this will give you good water. Then it'll go down when it hits the air gap, then it'll go up, then it'll go down. Here, we're maintaining 200 degrees at all times for the brew process, which is part of the genius of the design of a properly engineered siphon container. I've actually tested it with a fluke meter, and it's incredibly accurate. So you get the benefit of a very thorough, very consistent temperature extraction without the temperature swings due to air gap and the heat sinking of the metal in a pot and the air gap increasing in the top of the kettle as the water level goes down. There's all kinds of variables that contribute to temperature fluctuations. So we're about ready to go. I'm going to give it one last stir gently as I remove the lamp and snuff it out. And now the magic will begin. And because of the temperature differential and thus the pressure differential between the top and the bottom, you're going to start seeing brewed coffee from the top going down into the bottom. It's just beginning now, but the grinds will stay behind, with the exception of that very small percentage of fines, the very powdery fine particles. So when we talked about hot temperatures, because this brews hotter than most other devices, you're going to want to let the cup cool before you drink it. Heat masks a lot of good flavors. To my palate, a good cup of coffee improves as it cools, and that's clearly the case with this. But whereas most cups of coffee, when they're done brewing, might be anywhere from 160 to 185 degrees or even 190 degrees, this is very close to 195 degrees or so, and it's actually, in my opinion, too hot to drink. So I strongly recommend you let it cool. So you see the siphoning process going. We've got a beautiful extracted coffee in the bottom. And if I did a good job of stirring properly, we're going to see a residual mound in the top, which is more voodoo than anything else, but many people claim that it's evidence of a good siphon master. So we're just about done. At the very end, there'll be a flutter of bubble activities. And then we'll carefully hold the handle of the bottom and carefully lift and twist the top to remove it. It'll be warm, not too hot. And then we're going to park it over on the side here. And any drips that are left will go into this little handy drip tray. And this is ready to pour. And I'm going to pour it right away because I want the temperature to drop as quickly as possible.
I want to thank you for the great demonstration, David.
Oh, you're welcome. This is our Papua New Guinea Kimmel plantation. an uncharacteristically well-balanced medium body Indonesia. It's going to be too hot to drink for a couple minutes, but it looks beautiful. And we got a 28-ounce yield from 57 grams of coffee through the Cona siphon process.
And I have done this before, and mine have never come this nice as shape as you and the.
And I don't know if it means anything.
I don't know. Well, you know, people really like it. I think that's a good thing. And we also have one little issue. One time we were making coffee, and only we turned the light a little bit off too soon, and then it only blew halfway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have.
That's called stalling.
Yeah, and when we turn it back on, everything came down. So it was kind of
it's a delicate balance.
So you really have to time it right in order to make sure that it works.
Yeah,
100%. But I think I have done the Clover, this machine, any other machine, and I think the Cona vacuum is probably the best cup of coffee out there.
It is, to my palate. It's one of the last things we use when we're developing what I call a production roast. We're done the cupping process, now we're developing a roast profile and trying to look at the latitudes of what kind of flavor development we want for the bean. This is so transparent and analytical, it'll tell you what the cup tastes like. This is glass, water, and coffee. It doesn't get any purer than that.
I can't wait to taste.
Yeah.
And remember,
be careful, it's still going to be hot.
And remember, you can get all these coffees, Rojos coffees on David, right here at the Wien List of Summit in Summit, New Jersey. So don't forget to stop by and try it. You can do the Chemex, the Cona vacuum, and the Hardio.
That's a good cut.
Thank you.
And as it cools, it will get better. Yeah, it's a really well balanced cup. Papua New Guinea is one of my favorite coffees, and most people don't know about it.
Yes.
They think of Indonesians, you think of Sumatra, and, Java, and Sulawesi, and East Timor, which are fuller-bodied, heavier coffees, but they don't introduce the balance. They're generally not that exciting. This is a really lively, well-balanced cup that's got top notes as you let it cool. You'll notice a little bit of lemon on the top when it cools.
But it's probably better than any other ones we tried today. But I want to thank you so much, David, for stopping by.
You're so welcome.
I really
Thank
like
you.
it. Oh, my pleasure.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you.